There's this interesting article about Chris Pratt. And I'm going to put it up on screen here so that everyone can see it while we go through it. It says, maybe Hollywood should embrace people like Chris Pratt. And they say once he fixes his toe, because there's this gross picture of him recently. But I want to talk about this because they basically point out that Chris Pratt is like a centrist, liberal type dude. But they are centrist, like right-leaning dude, and they point out three things. They point out his support of the military, the fact that he likes hunting, and the fact that he's a Christian. Those are their points for this, right? And say, like, maybe we should tolerate people like this.
I am starting to smell something.
Okay.
Right? I feel like people have noticed the backlash to Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light.
Yeah.
Because not only do I see this, but there are people that are ostensibly liberal.
Yeah.
And I mean like that. I don't mean that as a slur or a negative term. Actually, like, believe in things that liberal societies believe in.
Yeah.
And they're starting to, like, having Trump on the town hall.
Yeah.
Now, granted, CNN really had to beg for forgiveness and really did their best to pad it because of what they've turned into and what their viewership has become over the past 5 or so years or whatever. But
we got a $20 one right quick from T-Bone. He says, welcome, sir. You know who you are. I hope you're having a wonderful day, sir. Phil and Brett, I'm hoping the hat choice today. I'm loving the hat choice today. Sir, your hat is the best, like always.
Shout out to T-Bone. I know who he's talking about.
So you're sir.
I am sir.
You're sir.
I'm sir.
Okay.
He shows the utmost amount of respect. I love that dude.
Well, as a cult leader, you have to demand the utmost amount of respect. Okay.
It's important.
So you were saying.
I just feel like there are people that are starting to notice that the left has gotten illiberal, and there are people that want to be good people and had gone along with the more extreme stuff on the left because they kind of thought that was what good people were doing, but they're starting to realize, wait a minute, this is more than just what a good liberal should do, you know. And I think that there are multiple things that give reason and will give people pause, and I can't put my finger on any one thing in particular, and I could be wrong. It could be a little bit early, but I tend to pick up on this kind of stuff early. I mean, I smelt the illiberalization of the United States back in 2005.
I think it speaks of just how far the Overton window shift the other way, and maybe it's working its way towards a correction. But I'm going to read you some of this paragraph. So it says, The Independent, Chris Pratt is a polarizing figure amongst audiences. I would actually like to push back on that. He's polarizing on Twitter and literally nowhere else.
He's polarizing to progressives,
on
to
Twitter.
The left.
And just on Twitter.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, that's
the only
where they live.
The only reason it's escaped Twitter into the real world is because a lot of journalists live on Twitter. Yeah. Therefore, they treat Twitter as if it's the real world when Twitter is not the real world.
But he's not polarizing. Like
he's the least polarizing person ever.
Being a Christian is like pretty normal in the United States. Like.
So this is what they say. For some, the issue is simply his acting. The people who are saying that are just dislike him for other reasons.
Yeah, they're liars.
Yes, they're lying. It says, for others, his political leanings. You don't know his political leanings. He literally says, I'm not right or left. I'm somewhere. I'm something else. I don't like to be labeled. So it says, Pratt, an ardent Christian and military advocate, is often described as right-wing, although he stated he does not fall on either side of the political spectrum. You may balk at the sight of Chris Pratt wearing a Don't Tread on Me shirt. You may recoil at his somewhat unnerving ode to the beauty of hunting.
God forbid you eat food.
Yeah, it says in 2015, the actor spoke of his 30 to 40 gun arsenal. You should be more concerned about all the celebrities who want to take your guns while not telling you about the size of their arsenal, which they clearly probably have, but don't want to tell you about because it's against what their philosophy is, what they're allowed to espouse in the real world.
Civilian grenades.
For everyone. But there's something fundamentally important about having people like Pratt in the industry. See, what I think it is, I think it's actually worse than this. I'm actually taking the opposite of your perspective. In a lot of ways, I think they like him because it allows them to pretend like there's a diversity of opinion. But the second he started actually speaking up about it, he would be shut down. And he would start losing roles. He's allowed this because people have kind of imprinted what they think he believes onto him. And yes, he wore a Don't Tread on Me shirt. You can you can glean whatever you want from that. Maybe he supports that, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wore it because he thought it looked cool. I don't know. I would lean towards the fact that he knows what it means. But the fact of the matter is that he will be expected from now and until the time he retires to keep that quiet and make those shout outs in small ways. He won't be allowed to be as politically outspoken as many of the people who run contrary to him in the industry. And the only thing that... Crisis Party! Woo!
All right.
They basically say, be whatever you want, just shut up about it. I worry about that. Party! I don't know what the skit was that he was talking about where this came up. I don't know what he was talking about.
Was that an episode of IRL or something?
It might be that, or maybe it was from something for Cass Castle.
Maybe.
I don't know. And I really do believe that to the left, you're allowed to support whoever you want to. Unless it's Tulsi Gabbard. Obviously, she's not a Democrat anymore. But on the right, you're allowed to... go for it.
You say people are noticing the backlash to Bud Light, but Miller just dropped a woke feminist commercial because we all know women primarily drink beer and not White Claws, LMFAO. The thing is...
It was probably done a long time ago.
That it was, yes, I think that it was actually done a long time
That's
ago.
like, can't turn the Titanic.
Exactly. I think the video, it might even be a resurfacing of a video that was released a long time ago. So I'm not sure that it was like some current thing.
You know what that means, right?
What?
You know what we need to do? We need to get White Claw to just make a super redneck ad. Just like a super right-wing ad. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
No, they totally should.
They should make a super, it should just be White Claw and it's the claws of a bald eagle. Flying over America.
I was thinking like trucks in the woods.
Yes.
How is White Claw not a perfect statement? White Claw.
Yeah. Like that's what red, white claw. Red, white, claw, and blue.
Yeah.
and then they can
White Claw,
and they can tap into their market. Everyone's always searching for that phantom market. That is that like a is that? Do you think that's like we're getting off topic
Memorial
here?
Day.
Do you think that's a product of the fact that capitalism is one of those things where it's like you have to continuously grow? There is no stagnating in a capitalist business.
Well, I mean,
so they're constantly looking for new markets to fill.
There is an argument to that, and that's part of that's part of the engine of capitalism of a capitalist economy, is to have people that are pushing the envelope, looking for new markets, because that's how it continues to grow for people. And the idea that you can not create a demand, that's just a load of crap. And that's one of the things that people on the left like to say, that you can't manufacture demand. Well, then what the heck was the iPhone?
Yeah.
That literally took the computer and put it into everyone's pocket, and the demand for a computer that big exceeded demand for almost everything else for half a decade.
Yeah.
It might even still be now that it exceeds the demand. So the idea that you can't create demand, that's and then once you get the iPhone, then there's all the stuff that goes along with it and blah blah blah. So it's not like that's the way that a capitalist economy works, because people come up with ideas. They're like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I had one of these things that did this?
Yeah.
And they try it, and other people are like, man, that thing worked good. I like it. That's it.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, Apple also had the infrastructure to build something of that size by that point, because they started in a joined industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean,
full-size computers.
Apple didn't actually make the pocket computer iPhone. I mean, they just made it work the way that people wanted it to.
Well, they took the iPod. They basically made CDs, anything else obsolete. They made the iPod, and then they made their own product obsolete.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and the thing is with the iPod, the thing that really sold it was the interface. Once they really kind of perfected the screen, or at least got it to the point where it didn't feel clunky and weird, because there were other touch screens that were around before, and they were wonky and weird, and you had to have some of them had the stylus and blah blah blah. But once Apple had that, it worked great.
2004 to 2009 is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite eras for movies and television because of all of the in between era tech.
Yeah.
That like a sidekick, you'll see Palm Pilots. Remember Palm Pilots?
God.
They got the stylus, and it's I love that era of technology. One of my favorite in what was it? Casino Royale was a point in that where Bond is using this tiny Nokia phone that supposedly has a screen that he can look at a map move, and I'm like, no, Not on that screen, he couldn't. Sorry, that wasn't happening. Do you think for Chris Pratt that part of this is their ability to be like, look, the article says a healthy ecosystem requires what is the word? Syncretic? Is that a word?
What is it?
Syncretic?
Syncratic?
Not but it's not an A. It says if Clint Eastwood had been hounded on the industry for his republicanism, we would have been poorer for it. They also shout out Bone Tomahawk, which will make Dallas Sonnier very happy in here. They talk about the Simpsons having established writers from all different political beliefs. I don't know if they see Chris Pratt that way. I think that on one hand, it could be yes. They could see this as the tide is shifting back to a more centrist approach. I think he's just the type of person they view as safe, because they will take anyone who believes anything they want as long as they don't speak about it too openly. Otherwise, Gina Carano would have been fine.
Well, no, because I think Gina Carano wasn't fine because of when it was.
In 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was the time. Like if you look, like the culture war was white hot in 2015, 2016. And then once Trump got in, it was still pretty intense, but it kind of cooled off because people just don't have the energy to have that kind of intensity constantly. Yeah. But then with 2020, with George Floyd and the Summer of Love, you had a reignition of that kind of fire in the culture war. And so Gina Carano paid for it because of the culture war, not because what she did was particularly objectionable, because she made a comparison that other people have made multiple times. Plenty of people on the left have made it. It was just, okay, Gina Carano has the bad opinion, and it is the summer of the Republicans must die, and anyone that steps out of line hates black people and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was really, really, really intense. So I think that it's a different time now. I think that people kind of are looking back and noticing their own behavior. Like, if you look at I don't
know if I have enough faith that people are actually that introspective.
No, I'm not saying everyone, but there are going to be some. But if you look at there's this montage that I've been sharing on Twitter of just the people that were in the news talking about people that were not vaccinated and stuff, and they just say the most atrocious things. And looking back now, knowing that it was all overblown, that it's possible that people were dying in the ICUs because of the ventilators that they were being put on, not because of the COVID virus. Look, it's really, really bad. It's a bad look now, and people are gonna try to move away from the whole woke thing because there are people like Bill Maher talking about woke on his show, and that bit that he did about communism, like, got millions and millions and millions of views and shares. People are going to notice, and this is the goal. This is what people like me have been trying to get other people to acknowledge. So I like to think that there are good liberals that are realizing they have been behaving illiberally because they've been sold a bill of goods that's a load of crap. I don't know that it's everybody, and I don't know that it's going to all the times that we see this, it's going to be that. But I'm hoping that there are at least some, because that's the only way we get out of this woke stuff without turning into like China.
On my less pessimistic days, I would hope that that's true. On my more pessimistic days, I tend to say, like, in a culture now where you have access to all this information, yes, you may have been lied to egregiously by these companies. But on one hand, and maybe this is projection on my part, I don't know if there are many people who are going to be willing to admit that they've been that taken in, and that they were duped that easily.
You have to give them a way out, without punishment. Mm-hmm. So people that got wrapped up in it, you can't sit there and it's going to happen on Twitter, but if it's someone you know, if it's friends, if they start saying anything, and this goes for everybody watching it, whenever. If you have a friend that was wrapped up in the whole woke thing and they kind of are starting to pull back, don't beat them up. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is beat them up. Give them a way out without embarrassing them, without punishing them. Just be like, yo, we all get wrapped up in stuff, homie. Come here. You're my homie for a reason. And be the homie. Be the homie and give them a way out. That's the only way that people are going to feel like, okay, I can actually leave this garbage behind and act like a normal person again without having to, whatever. And then, like, in a year or two, you can all laugh about it.
Yeah.
Okay, it was kind of pretty white hot and blah blah blah. And it doesn't mean they have to like Trump or whatever they get hung up on. Just give them a way out where they are still your friend. So.
Amen. All right. I'm going to read this last paragraph here because I thought it was very interesting. He says, the film industry as we know it is hardly the most politically diverse sphere of public life. The liberal lovey stereotype is alive and well. Look down the roster of Pratt's Marvel leading men peer group and you will find a uniform set of left-leaning Democrats from Chris Evans to Mark Ruffalo to Paul Rudd. Indeed, in Hollywood, openly right-wing or even as in Pratt's case, just non-lefty celebrities are something of a rarity. Most of these celebs who are renowned for their right-wing beliefs are outwardly bigoted or otherwise politically radicalized through some kind of cancel-related transgression. This is what I mean by this. What I'm saying is like they like him because he doesn't say anything. He doesn't stick up for himself most of the time. He lets them talk crap about him. They want a punching bag.
I'm sure.
I think a lot of them want a punching bag more than anything. That's what I think they want. So that's just my less positive take on the matter. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.